Today guys, today I'm going to be doing a review. I know I already kind of went over this bike before, but I'm just going to do a short honest review of what I've come to know about this bike. It's a 2003 Yamaha TTR225, and I've had this bike for roughly about since August, and I've been able to ride here and there throughout the winter time when the ground was solid but there was no snow. And I've been out riding it lately up and down the back roads and stuff, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do a quick honest review about what I like and don't like about this bike, and tell everybody kind of what it's like to own this bike. Now the battery is dead on this bike, so I had to jump start it, so it is running right now. I'm gonna just show you what it's like when it's running. Now I'm gonna turn it off, and it won't be able to restart unless I jump it, but that battery dying is on me. I have to get a new battery, but that's for another time. So I've had the bike running about 15 minutes, and she idles real good. Alright, so about this bike, it's a 2003 like I mentioned, and I do have a video on this already when I first bought it, and about how much I paid for it. I think it was around $500, something like that. Now, when I got the bike, the guy had stated how it wasn't running correctly, and I covered all that in my other video, and I just covered how the guy said it had barely been run in like 2 years. He ran it like twice, something like that. So I went ahead and snatched it up, and all I did was put a little car cleaner in it, and it ran perfect. I've taken this through mud. I've sunk the bike actually one time when I was in mud. I went to a rut in a big water hole. It was about halfway up the front tire, and the bike, well, tipped over, and the water was up just so you can only see about this much of the handlebar sticking out. And I picked it back up, and it started right back up on a dime without choking or anything. It didn't flood, and I was pretty impressed by that. Let me show you a couple things. So a few things I didn't go over with this bike previously, I don't believe, is the fact that you can get lights and everything put onto this bike. Like, when I first got the bike, I had no idea that these enduros type bikes, you could get them legally put on the road, because the way this is designed, it's a dirt bike. You know, it's not a motorcycle. I mean, I guess it's classified as a motorcycle, but I never thought that it would be able to go on the road until I took it down the road myself. I got to about 65 miles an hour, and I was like maxed out. And maybe with somebody a little bit lighter than me, it might go like 70, but that's like pegged and is as fast as it can possibly go. And that's not good having that engine running consistently at the max RPMs for long times. I only did it for like maybe half a mile, and then I turned around. But yeah, so like stuff like this, this separates, and you can put a tail light on here. There's even, I know there's racks you can get that like hook into here. There's like some sort of a rack you can get for the back and put like little tiny things on there. And as you can see, this thing's pretty dirty. I mean, it's not clean, it's nothing pretty, but that's because I ride this thing through a lot of mud and dirt, and it being spring, I have the roller out here to roll around the yard and just flatten it out and stuff, but there's a lot of mud and everything I've been through. But that's because it's early spring in New York, go figure. So the suspension on this, I did update, well, not update, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I did increase the suspension stiffness, which is behind this mud flap. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. There's these little things that you get, and it came with my snowmobile actually, that you can put on there, and it just pretty much turns the spring so it doesn't go up and down as much. But that's just so it roll a little bit stiffer. I like more of a stiffer ride on four-wheelers, snowmobiles, and stuff like that. That's just me, because I'm riding them pretty hard usually. But another thing is you can get mirrors and stuff. Like a mirror can go right here. There isn't one on this side. And yes, this is the brake lever, and when I got it, this brake lever was indeed broken off from it tipping over, which is very easy. This clutch lever is brand new. When I first got the bike, I had it for maybe a week, and I tipped the bike over when I was still learning it. There was a learning curve, and broke the original clutch lever, which I still have. I don't know where I put it. So I bought this new one and put this on. It was pretty simple. All you had to do is just loosen these cords up, take this bolt out here, and then replace this new one. It was pretty simple. I think this thing only costed like 10 bucks at Yamaha. It was really cheap. But I haven't really been able to do too much to it over the winter just because of my budget. I haven't had a lot of money. I've been putting more money into my car, which is more essential than a dirt bike. I mean, the bike is good as it is, but, you know, there's just a couple things that I'm not too thrilled about the bike, that I've been riding it for a long time, and I've gotten used to it, how it runs. But with the clutch, and this is the, right down there, this right here is the shifter. It's 1 down, 4 up, so 1 down, then, or 1 down, 6 up, my bad. I'm thinking about the four-wheeler. So you shift down, then you shift down to go in the first gear, and then up to go back second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And the thing I like about it is the neutral is so tricky on this thing. So if you're riding it, usually once you get used to it, the neutral is it's like half a shift down after second gear and half a shift up from first gear. But sometimes you have to kind of move the bike a few feet forward to get it to go into neutral. Like you put in first, and it won't want to go in neutral right away. So you gotta kind of move the bike a little bit and wiggle it and like rock it back and forth kind of to get it to go in to neutral. But I've stalled it a couple times thinking it was in neutral, so I just got used to it. The clutch on here is a little bit, I'm going to go even with the, you can see how the clutch lever, I did put it up a little bit high. It should be, this is level with the camera and the handlebar. You can see how it's kind of high, so I got to kind of like lift my hand up to squeeze it in. All I got to do is just loosen this bolt right here and put it down a little bit, but I got used to riding it like that, so it's not a big deal, but that's just me. Honestly, everything on this bike has been pretty good. The fuel here does have a very slight leak on it. I don't know if you can even, I'm going to try and pick that up on camera. You see that little drip? It drips out very slowly like that, and you can't really see until the camera focuses, but yeah, it's dripping out right there. I don't know why. It's like when I push it in more, it kind of slows it down and doesn't really do as much. You can even see right there on the ground that rock is wet from the leak. I'm pretty sure it's just a bad gasket, so I gotta take this cover off and disassemble this and just put a new gasket on there. I'm almost positive that's all it is, but I just keep a paper towel under it right now. And it usually stops after it drips for a few minutes. It kind of just stops, but it does get kind of annoying. The battery, like I stated, I did kill it by accident. This isn't even the original battery. This battery was supposedly brand new when I bought the bike. And when I bought the bike, it used this battery, relatively easy to start. But I ended up having problems with it falling out because this battery, if I can kind of move that out of the way, you can see it sticks out like right down. I can keep that out of the way. Right down here on the bottom, it sticks out about an inch, half an inch, and it shouldn't be sticking out. It should be nice and snug in the case. And I actually jumped the bike once, and it fell out, and the exhaust pipe was right here, and the battery melted on the bottom a little bit, which I think is the sole purpose that the batteries doesn't work anymore properly. It doesn't have a leak or anything, but it doesn't hiss, but it does not start up anymore. For instance, like, that's all it does, is it cranks over just like once, and then it just stops. But I just dump started the battery, and that's how I got it to run right, or run for now, until I have money to get a battery, because they're like 50 bucks is the cheapest one I found. A buddy of mine did bend this foothold here. We were on this old dirt road, and he kind of tipped it over, learning how to ride, and bent this completely in. This, in fact, was bent all the way in below the brake lever. This is the rear brakes right here, and this was bent in so much that this lever wouldn't even move. I had to get it out and bang it, and I managed to get it to somewhat straight now, so it's rideable. I will have to replace that eventually, but other than that, everything on this bike has been really good. The suspension, I love the feel of the suspension in the front and the back. Now that I tighten it up, is great. Last summer, just before spring or just before winter, I took the spark plug, replaced that, and I went through everything under here. I cleaned everything out from the mud and everything, which it now has a lot of mud built up in it and everything now, but that's from riding it, obviously. There is the only other problem with this bike that I've had is the oil drain plug is completely shot on the bike. I'm not sure if I covered this in the last video, so I'm just going to kind of go quick about it. But if I can get the camera to focus in there. Yeah, that right there, what you're looking at, that looks all scrapes and stuff, is the oil drain plug. There's literally, quite literally, nothing even left on it. It was rounded completely off and tried welding stuff onto it to get it off. It just will not. It's just not a happy bolt. It was not happy wanting to come off at all. So I gotta take it somewhere to get it professionally taken off. I've been at that all winter. I had the oil, I had the filter. I been at it all winter trying to get that off, and I just couldn't. So it was kind of crappy that when I got the bike, the bolt was rounded off. I never even looked at that. Who looks at a drain bolt when you're buying a dirt bike? I mean, really. It's a 4-stroke, so it's not a 2-stroke. 2 strokes, you have to mix the oil with the gas. 4 strokes, you have to put the oil and the gas separate. That's the main reason I bought a 4-stroke is I like 4-strokes, I always have, but you don't have to mix the gas. It's less expensive, I found out it's just less expensive. But so that was kind of irritating. But yeah, I mean, the bike is a good bike. I mean, I had thought about it. You can get a kit that has a front light right here instead of this plastic cover here, and a fancy Moose Racing sticker that I don't even know where that came from. That was on the bike originally, same with this Moose Racing thing. I might just peel this sticker off, actually, completely. I was going to, but it's just ripping apart. I've got to take that off. But yeah, the choke on this works. When you turn the thing is kind of tricky here. I thought this screw that sticks out to the right, can be good. That's my dog. Sorry, guys. I thought the screw that sticks out to the right was pointing to where the off-on reserve thing was at. So I thought if this little screw was pointing towards on, the fuel was on. If it was turning towards, and it wasn't. Apparently, there's like a little, if I can get it on camera, there's a little thing right there you can kind of get used to. So I had the bike on off, and I turned it on. I just started right up at the end of the winter, so it was great. But this bike really is a good bike. I had nothing but good times with it, and my buddies have had good times with it. I was going to show you the airbox on here, but I don't have the screwdriver on me. I'm not exactly sure where the screwdriver is. I'd have to go look for one. I don't want this to be like a wicked long video. But the airbox essentially is the part where it sucks in air is about right here, roughly. I'm guessing because I haven't seen it. So it's about roughly right there. So you can go through a significant amount of water. I mean, that's the airbox thing right here. This black cover is the airbox, and the snorkel goes up to about there, roughly. So you can go through a significant amount of water, and it won't flood out, which is pretty cool. But my honest reviews of this bike, I mean, there are some things I don't like. I understand the gas cap on here. If I can, my God, that's on there tight. Hold on. There it goes. So the gas cap on here, or not the gas cap, my bad. The gas tank on here is, I don't know if you can see down in there. I just don't like the way it's designed. So there's this big middle piece going right down the middle. So the gas goes into the right and it goes into the left. And so when you're pouring gas in it, if you're not careful, it splashes back quite a bit. If you're not careful. Because of that, I'm not sure what the design of that is, but there's obviously a purpose. Otherwise, Yamaha wouldn't have done it. But it has hydraulic front brakes, which I do enjoy. I don't really use them as much. Not because it's broke, but simply because I just shift down, and that usually slows me down. And I just put in neutral and stop with my feet 9 out of 10 times. And the only other times I usually use the flip brake to slow down. But that's just me. Yeah, so this bike, it's a... 1 second. I don't know. Huh. That right there is like a little kill thing. If you can, I don't know if you can hear that. Apparently, when you push that in, it stops the bike from turning over and turns the bike off. I never realized that until just now. See, you learn something new every day. Huh. I do not know what the purpose in that is with this little... I really don't. I'm not going to mess with that. But the seat itself is kind of a pain to get off. You have to, like, go down under here. There's screws under the seat that you have to unscrew just to get the seat off. So it's kind of an annoyance, especially if you're on the trail and you have to take it off. You can't really get to it too easy. But, you know, it's a good bike. It really is a good bike. I do have to tighten the back brake up a little bit because I have to push that brake down probably almost all the way just for it to start slowing down, so I gotta tighten the brakes on it a little bit. But honestly, this bike has been really good. Out of 10 stars, I would probably give this bike like an 8 out of 10, mainly because it's not a racing bike by any means. I mentioned that in the last video. This is not a bike that you go take to a racetrack and you go jumping it and, you know, running around corners and stuff, full throttle. It's not that type of bike. This bike is more of a, you jump on it and you cruise down the trail. It can go over logs. It has enough power to, in second gear, that, and even third gear if you get it up in the RPMs enough. I found that in second gear, without even using a clutch, I can just lean back and pull up on it and give it gas, and it'll lift that wheel right up to get over obstacles. So it's a good bike. It has plenty of power. It is absolutely a fantastic bike, a 225. It's no slouch. Like I said, it goes probably 65 miles an hour. That's with me on there, and I'm not a small guy by any means. I'm like 230, and I'm not a small guy by any means, so it does pretty well. And it soaks up bumps, and it takes bumps really good. It's just a great bike, and traction, it gets pretty good traction, and with these tires on there that came with it. There's not a whole lot. The reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 simply is because there's just some things on the bike that are kind of a little tricky to get used to, like the neutral, which is, once you get used to it, it's not even a big deal, but trying to teach somebody how to ride, especially with it being a manual, a clutch and everything, it's kind of tricky. So some newer riders who've never rode a dirt bike might find it difficult and hard to ride. That's why I don't give it a 10 out of 10 straight away. Now, if you're a professional rider and you've been riding the bikes and everything, and you know how to use them, and you know how to use this particular bike, I mean, you might give it for yourself a 10 out of 10 just because you like it that much. But that's up to you in your opinion. But honestly, an 8 out of 10 is probably good for me, mostly because nowhere that I live there's any parts for this bike or any Yamahas in specifically, because the closest Yamaha dealer is about 50 minutes away, so it's kind of a pain to go all the way out there to get parts and stuff and come all the way back, and it just isn't, it's not very convenient. So that's not the bike's fault in any way. But, and the only other thing that I really dislike about the bike, honestly, is just kind of the way the bolts and everything are set up. Like, they make some of this stuff kind of tricky. Like the seat, you gotta go under the thing, you gotta clean it all out to get to the screws to take the seat off, and it's just kind of tricky to get to some of these things. And even just to get to the oil drain plug down here, you gotta take the entire shift lever right here, you gotta take that off, and you gotta take the little skid plate thing, or whatever, this cage thing on here, which is this right here, this metal rod. There's 4 of them on. There's like 3 or 4 bars. You gotta take that off just to get to the oil drain plug, to take it off when the oil drain plug actually works correctly. And just simple little things like that are kind of inconvenient and a little bit annoying. But other than that, the bike is great, and I love this bike. I'll ride it every day if I could. You know, I ride this over the 4-wheeler, which I don't know if you can see the back of the 4-wheeler right there. I ride it over the 4-wheelers mostly because it saves on wear and tear on them. Those are working 4-wheelers and not play 4-wheelers. This is a playful bike, so, you know, put the hours on the bike and save the 4-wheelers for work. But yeah, I got not a lot to complain about. It's just an honest review. I do love the way it handles. I love the power. I love the fact that, you know, there's a learning curve getting used to this type of a bike for sure. But, you know, once you get used to it and you're riding on the trail, it's a blast. It really is. Even for an 03, I'm not even sure the hours or anything on here. I have no clue whatsoever. The guy never even told me. He said he only rode it twice, and I think he was a third owner. But I'm glad to have the bike. I really am. So that's just my honest review of this video. I'm just kind of like giving an honest review of about, I don't know, I think it was about since August. So it's been a little while since I've had the bike and kind of things I liked and don't like. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.